Hello friends, today I am here with the last part of the historical background from the Laxmikanth, and the first class of the historical background of Laxmikanth I did from 1773 to 1853. Then in the next class I discussed from 1858 to 1909. Today I will discuss from 1919 to 1947. From 1858 to 1909, whatever the policies British had implemented in India, are those policies are beneficial to Indians? What do you think of? But I don't think so. Those policies were benefited to Indians. Now from 1909 to 1947, what the magical things had happened that within these 38 years we become an independence. What are the miracles had happened? The miracles had happened because of one-man army, which we can say what? Great Gandhi or Mahatma Gandhi. That doesn't mean that contribution of Patel, Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, Nehru, Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose, Lala Lajpat Rai. There are many Indians, or if I can say almost all Indians had taken part in the freedom struggle. But this man was unique. He was the mass communicating leader, because of which he was known as what? Father of nation. Okay, father of nation. And why he was great, why he was called father of nation, this we will come to know within few minutes. Okay, within few minutes we can able to know why he was called what? Great. Okay, see, Britishers were ruling India. Britishers were ruling India not by militarily. We were not slave of Britishers by military. We were slave by politically and legally. We were slave of Britishers by politically and legal means. You can say by political or legal means. Okay. This is what said to be what? Colonization. This is what said to be what? Colonization. Okay. And colonization had happened because of what? Centralization. Because of centralization, colonization had happened. The centralization, which was started from 1773 and reached its climax at 1833. Because of this centralization, what happens? We were under what? Colony. Now if I ask you what the technical definition of colony, when a strong state rule over a weak or small state, what I am saying, when a strong state rule over a weak or small state by politically and legal means. When a strong state rule over a weak or small state by political and legal means, that is what a colony is. Now since the Britishers were in India by political and legal means, so we cannot simply make them out of India. we cannot throw them out of India because they are by legal means. So first, from colony we have to transform into what? A dominion. Or we can say that from colony directly we cannot become an independent country. First of all, from colony we have to be transformed into what? A dominion. Now if you ask me what do you mean by dominion? Dominion means a country is politically and legally free. Okay, when a country or a state or a nation by politically and legally they are free, but head of their state is what? King or Queen of British at that time. Okay, so politically and legally they are free. Here they were not free. Politically and legal they were not free, but here politically and legally free. Only the head of the state is what? King or Queen. Only the head of the state was what? King or Queen. This is the definition of a dominion. After getting dominion, then only we can become what? We can become what? Independence. Or we can become what? Independent. Or we will get independence. Okay, so from politically and legally occupants we will become politically legally sovereign. So from colony to become independence we have to get through dominion, we have to move or we have to pass from dominion, then only we can become independence. Okay, but this roadmap, this is what a roadmap. From colony to dominion, then we will become what? Independent. This roadmap was able to communicate by great Gandhi to almost all Indians. What I am saying, this roadmap from colony to dominion to independence was able to communicate by Gandhi to almost all Indians. And remember, in that time only 6 or 7% Indians were literate. So you imagine how great he was, how mass communicator leader he was. He was able to communicate to almost all Indians, and at that time only 6% or 7% Indians were what? Literate. So this roadmap able to communicate by Gandhi to almost all Indians. That is why he is the unique, he is the mass leaders, he is the father of our nation. Now, arrival of Mahatma Gandhi from the South Africa in 1915, and because of the First World War, England had become weakened. Because of these two reasons, Indians were able to put pressure on Britishers, because of which they passed Government of India Act in 1919. The main demands in the Government of India Act 1919 were provincial autonomy. The provinces which had lost its autonomy because of what 1773 and 1833 Act, the provinces had lost provincial autonomy. Now, first of all, in order to get back this autonomy by the provinces, Indians were demanded what? Provincial autonomy. At 1833 or in 1773, Because of what? Centralization, the legislative powers were lost by provinces. At the same time, they also lost the executive powers. Now, Indians were demanding to get back these lost legislative powers. That is what a provincial autonomy is. Now, in provincial autonomy, there are mainly two components. One is what? True division of powers. True division of powers. True division of powers. And secondly, bicameralism. Bicameralism. Okay. So, these are the two components of provincial autonomy. Now, the legislature list was separated into federal list and provincial list. Legislature list was separated into federal list and provincial list. Okay. This provincial list was further divided into transferred list and reserve list. Federal list we can compare today, it is like of union list. Today's union list was similar to what? Federal list. The list was available to what? Central Legislative Council. And in transferred list, listen very carefully, the viceroy had to take recommendation. The viceroy had to take recommendation from Council of Ministers, and these Council of Ministers were responsible to what? Legislative Council. Listen very carefully. The viceroy had to take recommendation from Council of Ministers, and these Council of Ministers were responsible to what? Legislative Council. Okay, that means those subjects in which the legislative process can be done, or those subjects which can be legislated, or those subjects in which viceroy can make laws, those subjects in which viceroys can make laws. For making laws, viceroy had to take recommendation from Council of Ministers, and these Council of Ministers were what? Responsible to Legislative Council. Okay, and those subjects in which viceroy need not take any recommendation from Council of Ministers. Here viceroy had to take recommendation. It is the binding on viceroy to take recommendation from Council of Ministers. But in case of reserve list, viceroy need not. Viceroy is not binding to Council of Ministers. Okay, so in order to legislate on those subjects, viceroy need not take any recommendation from what? Council of Ministers. So this is said to be what? Reserve list. This transfer list and reserve list is also said to be what? diarchy. Okay, this process is also said to be what? Diarchy. So Indians were demanding what? Provincial autonomy. In order to get provincial autonomy, we must get what? True division of powers. But they had given us what? Diarchy, which is a what? False division of powers. So we were wanting true division of powers. They had given us what? False division of powers. Why? Because they had given us diarchy, and they had played a major game here. All important subjects were kept under federal list. All important subjects were kept under what? Federal list. And in the provincial list also, all important subjects were kept under what? Reserve list. So they were so clever that they were giving powers to Indians but very less powers. Why? Because all important subjects were kept under federal list, and in the provincial list also all important subjects were kept under what? Reserve list. So we were wanting true division of powers. They had given us false division of powers. Now what do you mean by bicameralism? Here we have two. One is called lower house, another is called upper house. Okay, lower house is called House of People, and upper house is called what? Council of States. But this Council of State, you don't think it is similar to that of Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is having mass power than this what? Council of States, because this Council of State was just an advisory body. Today's Rajya Sabha had what? Mass power than this what? Much more power than this of Council of State, because this Council of State is only what? Advisory body. So thereby what? We were asking for them, we were asking bicameralism. Here also they had played a major game by giving Council of State just a what? Advisory body. So thus we can consider that what we are asking, we were asking for provincial autonomy. There are two components of provincial autonomy. One is true division of powers, and another was a bicameralism. They had given us false division of powers. Instead of true division of powers, they had given us false division of powers. And here in bicameralism, they had also played a major game by providing Council of State as an advisory body. Thereby they were given us what? False bicameralism. Now when Viceroy asked Gandhi that you were asking for provincial autonomy, we have provided you this provincial autonomy, are you happy now? Then he said that, let us see. After that, Gandhi became very angry and he launched famous non-cooperation movement. Okay, he launched famous non-cooperation movement. So these were the reason behind non-cooperation movement, which was launched by what? Mahatma Gandhi. Now, most important features of Government of India Act 1919. Number one, separation of legislature list into federal and provincial list. Provincial was further classified into transferred and reserve list, and this process was said to be diarchy. Then bicameralism, which I already discussed, and direct election for the first time in the country. And 3 out of 6 Indians included in Viceroy's Executive Council. This is also one of the major steps. Separate electorate for 6 Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, Europeans. Remember, separate electorate for Muslim had already started in 1909. that is continuing here also, but here they have extended the separate electorate for 6 Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. Besides that, separate electorate for Muslim. Separate electorate for Muslim which had they given already in 1909, that is they are continuing. And in spite of that, this was extended separate electorate for 6 Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. Okay, the Muslims were already given separate electorate and that is continuing now up to 1909. And limited franchises were given to Indians, that means right to vote. I think only 10% Indians were allowed to vote based upon education, tax rate, etc. And number 7, created a new office of the High Commissioner for India in London and establishment of Central Public Service Commission. And number 9, separation of provincial budget from central budget. Okay. Now we were asking for what province in 1919 Government of India Act, we were asking for provincial autonomy. We were asking for what? Provincial autonomy. Okay, we were asking for provincial autonomy. Okay, so it has two components mainly. One was what? True division of powers. True division of powers. Another was what? Bicameralism. Bicameralism. Okay, bicameralism. Okay. So they had, instead of true division of powers, they had given us what? False division of powers. And instead of true bicameralism, they had given us false bicameralism. How? Because the Council of State was made just an advisory body. So when Britishers asked Gandhi that you had asked for provincial autonomy, we had given you the provincial autonomy. Now are you happy? Then Gandhiji became very angry and he launched famous non-cooperation movement. He launched famous non-cooperation movement. And what happened? Because of Sora incident, this non-cooperation movement which was launched by Gandhi, what? This came to an end. After the Sora incident, non-cooperation movement came to end. But British had realized this non-cooperation movement had hit the British very hard, and they had realized that Indians were able to realize the roadmap for independence. And because of tremendous opposition for Government of India Act 1919, they had sent Simon Commission in 1927. Actually, when Government of India Act 1919 was passed, it was decided that it will be revised after 10 years. That means it will revise in 1929. But because of so much opposition into the Government of India Act 1919, what happened? They had sent a commission called what? Simon Commission. They had sent what? Simon Commission. Okay, Simon was the head of the commission. Simon was the head of the commission, and there were 7 members into it. Okay, because of so much opposition, they sent the Simon Commission in 1927 instead of sending it 1929. And head of the Simon Commission was what? Simon. And he was the head, and it included how many members? 7 members. But out of these 7 members, no Indian. You see, the main reason behind the Simon Commission was to what? revised the Government of India Act 1919, and this Government of India Act 1919 was mainly for Indians. So instead of putting the members from India, they were putting all the 7 members, they were what? Non-Indians. So Indians became very angry because there were no Indian members in the Simon Commission, and lots of opposition happened, and during this opposition we lost one of the great leader who is known as what? Lala Lajpat Rai. And the Simon Commission had placed its its report in 3 roundtable conference in London. Okay, Simon Commission had put its report in 3 roundtable conference in London. As a result, under the recommendation of Simon Commission, in 1935, they released a white paper, and this white paper became what? Foundation for Government of India Act 1935, and it is very famous act. Okay, in present constitution, most of the law acts are taken from a Government of India Act 1935. Now, Government of India Act 1935. What is the first provision? It allowed for the establishment of all India Federation. It allows for the establishment of all India Federation. What do you mean by that? That means all the state will together form an union. So what do you mean by All India Federation? All India Federation means what? All the state will together form an what? Union. But it had a great problem. Okay, it looks that in that time, if I consider India, at that time there were 2 basically division in India. One were what? Provincial state. One were what? Provinces. Another were what? Rajwaras, or you can say what? Princely state. Listen very carefully. What I am saying, at that time India were under 2 divisions. Some portion of India were provinces, some portion of India were what? Princely state. If the provinces wanted to be independent, that means provinces want to be what? Independent. If the provinces wanted to be independent, they have to get back what? Provincial autonomy. Okay, what I am saying? The provincial autonomy which had been lost by the provinces because of the Centralization Act, like that of 1773, 1833, because of these acts the provinces had lost provincial autonomy. So if the provinces wanted to be independent, they must return back this provincial autonomy which had they lost because of these acts. So if the province, in short, if the provinces wanted to be independent, they must get back the provincial autonomy. And we are talking about colonization. The colonizations were limited to only what? Provinces. Listen very carefully. Colonization were limited to only what? Provinces. We are saying that India were colony under British. The colony indicates only the provinces who were under colony. The princely states, which were also said to be what? Rajwaras, they were almost independent within their territory. What I am saying? The princely state which were almost independent within their territory because of one law or one agreement which is called Doctrine of Permanency. Doctrine of Permanency. What I am saying, listen very carefully. What I am saying, the princely states were almost independent within their territory because of an agreement which was said to be what? Doctrine of Permanency. So because of Doctrine of Permanency, the princely states within their territory were almost independent. Only because of external affairs, or defense, they have to listen to Britishers. Except these two, external affairs and defense, the princely states were almost independent within their territory because of Doctrine of Permanency. Now, if these princely states want to be complete independent, including these two, they have to break an agreement called Agreement of Suzerainty. Listen very carefully. Agreement of Suzerainty. This you will get in history in a better way. Okay. So if the princely state wanted to be complete freedom, they needs complete freedom. They wanted to be a complete freedom state. For that, they have to break the Agreement of Suzerainty under Doctrine of Permanency. Okay, the princely states have to break this Agreement of Suzerainty, then only they can become complete independent. Within their territory, they are almost independent, but for external affairs and that of defense, they have to listen to Britishers. But in order to be complete independent, they have to break the Doctrine of Suzerainty. So if you are observing that the requirement of independence of the provinces is completely different from the what? Princely states. In order to become complete independent by the princely states, it have to break the Doctrine of Suzerainty. And in order to get independence, the provinces must have to get back their provincial autonomy. So इनका requirement different था, इनका requirement different था. So what was the requirement to be independent for the princely states? To break the Agreement of Suzerainty. What are the requirement to become independent by the provinces? It have to get back the provincial autonomy which had they lost because of the policies like 1773 and 1833 Centralization Act. For this reason, the All India Federation doesn't form because the princely states say no. The princely states say no. Because of that reason, All India Federation were not able to form. Okay. So because of princely states, All India Federation was not able to form, and it was allowed by Government of India Act 1935 that All India Federation can be formed, but because of the princely states, it failed to form what? All India Federation. What were the main features of Government of India Act 1935? Number one is establishment of All India Federation, but it was never formed because princely states say no. And for the first time, we got two division of powers: federal list that we can compare with union list today, provincial list that we can compare with state list today, concurrent list, that means both federal and the provincial list can legislate on those subjects, and residuary powers were given to viceroys. Similarly, today also we have residuary powers. These residuary powers today are remain with the center. And number 3 is very important. It abolished the diarchy in provinces. The diarchy which was established or introduced in 1919 Government of India Act, here it was what? Abolished. And the diarchy wanted to be introduced in the federal or in the center. That means they tried to introduce in the center, but this diarchy in the center was never implemented. Okay, so diarchy was abolished in the provinces, and diarchy they tried to implement on us with the center, but it never came into force. Number 4 is a provincial autonomy. It's important features. Provinces got their autonomy, which had lost because of the centralization of 1773 and 1833 acts. And it introduced the bicameralism in 6 out of 11 provinces. That you will get in the Laxmikanth. What are those states? And abolished the Council of India that was formed in Government of India 1858. And this is very important. Extended separate electorate for depressed classes. In 1909, separate electorate was given only to Muslim, but in 1919 they extended the separate electorate to Anglo-Indians, Indian Christians, Europeans, etc. Further, in 1935 they extended the separate electorate for depressed classes. That means now Muslim, Anglo-Indians, Indian Christians, Sikhs, Europeans, all will get what? Separate electorate. And number 8, establishment of Reserve Bank of India. Number 9, establishment of Federal Public Service Commission, Provincial Public Service Commission, and Joint Public Service Commission. Means 2 or 3 states together, they form a commission which is said to be Joint Public Service Commission. These are the important features of Government of India Act 1935. So suddenly, in the Government of India Act of 1935, we got the most important, that is what? Provincial autonomy. Provincial autonomy, we got it. But still, we could not form All India Federation. We could not form All India Federation because princely states say no. Since princely states says no, so because of which we cannot form All India Federation. If we cannot form All India Federation, then we cannot form what? Constituent Assembly. We cannot form what? Constituent Assembly. Okay, since we cannot form All India Federation, therefore we cannot form what? Constituent Assembly. Therefore we cannot form what? Constitution. We cannot get our own constitution. Okay, so there is a problem, lots of problems, since All India Federation was not formed because of princely states. Now these are the problems where we cannot ask the help from the Britishers also, because this is not the problems of British. All India Federation was not formed not because of British. All India Federation was not formed because of princely states. They says no, and princely states is they are Indians only. So it's the internal problem of Indians because of which was All India Federation was not formed. So in the mid, the movement seemed to be what, directionless. Why? Because All India Federation was not formed, because of which Constituent Assembly cannot be formed, because of which we cannot get our own constitution. So at the mid time, the movement seemed to be directionless. But suddenly what happened in 1940? In 1940, luck favored us. How? There was a man who was popularly called what? Hitler. He was from Germany and he attacked Britain. Britain at that time was one of the most powerful nations in the world. But when suddenly Hitler attacked, then their survival was at stake. And then Viceroy, who was said to be Linlithgow, then Viceroy of India at that time, who was said to be Linlithgow, what he did, he wrote a letter that on behalf of Indians, we are at war with the Germany. So without asking Indians, he declared that on behalf of Indians, we are at war with the what? Germany. Indians were upset and many protests happened at that time. And at the same time, in the Eastern world also there was a lot of problem. Why that problem was occurring? Problem was occurring because the Japan, mighty Japan, was also conquering many nations, many states. The Japan was also conquering many states. At the same time, Hitler attacked Britain. So Lord Linlithgow had given on August 8, 1940, he had given an offer to India, which was otherwise said to be what? August offer. August offer. Okay. What was that offer? That Indians, you please help us during the war. After the war, we will give you what? Dominion status. Okay. Listen very carefully. In 8 August 1940, Lord Linlithgow had given an offer to India. That offer was also said to be what? August offer. What was that offer? That during the war, you Indians please help us. After the war, we will give you what? Dominion status. But this was just a what? Principal acceptance. This was just a what? Principal acceptance. Nothing was formalized. Okay, this was just a principal acceptance. Nothing was formalized. So what happened? In order to formalize August offer, in 1942, Winston Churchill, who was elected as a Prime Minister of Britain, he sent 3 members headed by what? Stafford Cripps, A.V. Alexander, and Patrick Lawrence. Okay. So in 1942, then Prime Minister Winston Churchill, in order to formalize August offer, sent Stafford Cripps, A.V. Alexander and Patrick Lawrence. They were British cabinet. And this mission was headed by what? Stafford Cripps. That's why this was also said to be what? Cripps mission. Why Cripps mission was sent? Cripps mission was sent in order to formalize what? August offer. They came to India and asked both Congress and Muslim League. Okay, Cripps mission asked both Congress and Muslim League that you will get dominion status You will have your Constituent Assembly, you will have your own constitution, but both Congress and Muslim League have to accept. Both the Congress and Muslim League have to agree that both of them will get dominant status, both of them will get what? Not separately. I am not saying that separately they will get. That means India will get what? Dominant status. India will get what? Constituent Assembly. India will get your own constitution, but both Congress and Muslim League have to accept. Muslim League said no. Muslim League said no, we will not accept. We want our own constitution, we want our own Pakistan, we want our own Constituent Assembly. Then what happened? CRIPPS mission went back to what? London as a failure. Mahatma Gandhi became very angry and he said that it's don't interfere with our internal problems. They told the CRIPPS mission, don't interfere with our internal problem, it's our problems. You just fulfill your promise, what you have said in August 8, 1940. You just fulfill your promise, do not interfere with our own matters. But CRIPPS mission, they went back as a failure. Mahatma Gandhi became very angry, and as a retaliation to the failure of CRIPPS mission, Mahatma Gandhi launched the civil disobedience movement, the most dangerous movement, which was civil disobedience movement and most effective movement, in 1942 in August. Okay, in August 1942, Mahatma Gandhi, as a retaliation to what? Failure of CRIPPS mission, he launched most dangerous and effective civil disobedience movement and saying do or die. Do or die. So, Quit India movement was hitting very hard. Quit India movement was hitting very hard to the England, Britain. At the same time, England had become very weak after the Second World War. So Quit India movement was on full swing. They had become very weak because of Second World War. Because of these two reasons, what happened? England sent second cabinet mission in 1946. Okay, they sent second cabinet mission in 1946. They came to India and asked both Congress and Muslim League, that India will have own constitution, India will have own dominion, India will have own Constituent Assembly, but both the Congress and Muslim League have to agree. Same thing, Jinnah did not accept that we want our own constitution, own Pakistan, own Constituent Assembly. But the second cabinet mission have agreed Muslim League to have what? Election for Constituent Assembly. Second cabinet mission agreed Muslim League to hold election for Constituent Assembly. Election was held at June 1946 and it was indirect election. Remember, people of India did not vote for it. The members of Provincial Legislative Council had voted for it, and by proportionate representation. At that time, Indians were having 39 crore population. On that basis, it will have how many seats? Approximately 389 seats. So total numbers of seats were what? 389, out of which 296 have to come by election, 93 have to come by nominated from princely states. That means 93 have to come from princely states by nomination. And on the day in which the results were declared, the Congress got the results. It came like this: Congress got 208, Muslim League got 73, others got 15. Muslim League thought that we cannot get another Pakistan, we cannot form constitution, we cannot form Constituent Assembly, and we will never get what separate state like Pakistan. So on the first day of Constituent Assembly, which was held on 9 December 1946, there are only 211 members were present. Now on 9 December 1946, first Constituent Assembly session was held. Dr. Sachinandra Sinha was appointed as a temporary president, and the temporary president was taken from the French. This provision had taken from what? French. And Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the president. H.C. Mukherjee and V.T. Krishnamachari became vice president. There were two vice presidents. Sir B.N. Rao became legal advisor. And on 29th August 1947, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was appointed as the chairman of drafting committee with 7 members. And our original constitution, we were having 395 articles and 8 schedules. And on 13 December 1946, Nehruji, he moved aims and objective resolution, and this had later become what? A source for the preambles. This had become a source for the preambles later. Okay. And Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and they were what? Very large-hearted people. They invited Jinnah that why you are boycotting the session, you please come and join. Then Jinnah said that I will come by 20 January 1947, but he did not come back. So on date 22/01/1947, this aims and objective resolution was unanimously adopted on 22 January 1947, because Jinnah didn't come back. It was waiting. Our Dr. Rajendra Prasad and his colleagues were waiting for Jinnah to come. The Jinnah had promised to come on 20 January 1947, but he did not come. Since he did not come, so it was adopted. The aims and objective resolution was unanimously adopted on 22 January 1947. Now suddenly on February 20, 1947, then elected Prime Minister of Britain, Clement Attlee, he had suddenly announced on radio that His Majesty government is leaving India. His Majesty government is leaving British India maximum June 1948. When he announced this, then Indians were shocked, because we were not ready, because our constitution was not ready, because there is a civil war like situation for Hindu-Muslim riots. So because of this, we were not ready. And when Clement Attlee on radio announced that His Majesty government is leaving India by June 1948, we were shocked. In order to solve the matters, Clement Attlee sent Lord Mountbatten on June 3, 1947. Lord Mountbatten called both Jinnah and Nehruji, and he, for the first time, he asked the Jinnah that what you want. Then Jinnah told that I want the independence Pakistan. I want Pakistan. Then for the first time in the history, Lord Mountbatten had accepted the what concept of a new nation of Pakistan. Lord Mountbatten for the first time in the history accepted the what? A new nation's concept, that is what? Pakistan. then he accepted the concept of Pakistan. But Lord Mountbatten was an executive, so it was an executive decision. So it has to be passed through legislature. This executive decision has become an act on July 18, 1947 in the British Parliament, and this act was known as Indian Independence Act 1947, and it was said that on appointed day 15 August 1947 there is the end of British rule, and two dominion, each India and Pakistan, will formed, and there will be no His Majesty government, and also no viceroy will be there. Viceroy was the direct representative of British Parliament. Now from now onwards no viceroy will be there, and there will be what Governor General, and this Governor General will stay until and unless India will form or Pakistan will form what? Their own republic. So Lord Mountbatten remain as what? The Governor General until our constitution was formed. Each dominion will have the power to form Constituent Assembly. That means India and Pakistan can form their own Constituent Assembly, and they will have complete power to form their own constitutions independently. That means India can form their own Constituent Assembly, India can form their own constitution, Pakistan can form own Constituent Assembly, Pakistan can form own constitution. And from this date no act of British Parliament extended unless each dominion will say, no act of British Parliament from 15 August 1947, and the lapse of British paramountcy. And because of this British paramountcy, what happened? The princely states were saying no, in which all India Federation were not able to form. Now Britishers said that we ourselves are moving away from this agreement. Now you can join either India, or you can join Pakistan, or you can remain as independent. It's your own wish. We are ourselves living from this paramountcy, from this agreement. And from 1946, 9 December 1946 to 26 January 1950, Constitution was not made, or it only come into force from 26 January 1950. So until this era, from 9 December 1946 to 26 January 1950, our interim constitution was what? Government of India Act 1935. That means interim constitution from period 9 December 1946 to 26 January 1950, our interim constitution was Government of India Act 1935. Once 26 January 1950, after 26 January 1950, we adopted that means our constitution came into force. Once our own constitution come into force, Government of India Act 1935 what? Repealed. This is what all about what? Historical background of the Constitution of India from Laxmikanth.